Hi everyone, this is Dr. Menije from Embracing Your Therapy. And today, let's talk about relationship. Specifically, I want to talk to you about a question we get a lot here in our practice office in Woodland Hills, and that is, am I in a one-sided relationship? So let's talk about what is a one-sided relationship. These are the relationships that lack balance and reciprocity. These are the relationships that feel out of balance and unfair, unequal, where we may not feel like our needs are being met. And part of therapy is understanding what does a healthy versus unhealthy relationship look like? How can I tell the difference between good versus a toxic relationship? So one-sided relationships are the kind of unhealthy relationship where things are out of balance and they're not equal and fair. So there are some questions we like our clients to explore in therapy when asking themselves, am I in a one-sided relationship? And I want to walk you through those questions. So there are 3 questions to ask yourself to see whether you are in a one-sided relationship. So the first question is, do you give more than you receive? In relationships, it's not always 50-50. I was just watching a wonderful video from Brené Brown talking about this idea that things are not always going to be 50-50. We know that sometimes we might be at a 20 and we might need our partner to put in the 80 to make it 100, or other days our partner is having a really hard day and they're at a 20 and we need to give the 80 to make it a 100. We understand that. Of course, that's part of checking in with ourselves, checking in with how our partner is doing, and making sure we're supporting each other. But when I ask you, do you give more than you receive, is consistently on a daily and weekly basis, do you feel like in this relationship you're always giving, you're always accommodating, you're always attending to their needs, and you are not receiving the same things that you offer to your partner? That is the reciprocity that we really want to look for in relationships. And it doesn't mean, again, people have to do the exact same things, because you may have some strength and some creativity that your partner doesn't have. But it's maybe also looking at those love languages and making sure the things that I do to make my partner feel loved, safe, and comfortable, is my partner doing anything and some things to make me feel loved, safe, and comfortable? So again, the question is, are you giving more than you're receiving in the relationship? Now, the second question you want to ask yourself is, do you give people multiple chances? We also understand that relationships are often about negotiating, right? It's about the art of compromising. We know that long-term relationships have different challenges and there's different ups and downs. So we have to work on the relationship and we can't just exit as soon as there's a problem. While that's incredibly important to be able to negotiate, to be able to compromise through empathy and validation, what I'm talking about here is that in unhealthy relationships, in one-sided relationships, you might be finding yourself giving multiple chances without any behavioral changes. So what you really want to ask yourself is, yes, mistakes happen, but after conversations and after exploration, does my partner continue to do the same behavior, same pattern that I've asked them to stop? So you see, what we're now looking at is boundaries. And often we might be in unhealthy relationship because we are feeling insecure and deep down we have low self-esteem, and we give people multiple chances because we're afraid of being alone. We're afraid of being lonely. We're afraid of being single, and the fear of not being with somebody causes you to give multiple chances. That's a sign that you're in a one-sided relationship. That's a sign that you're in an unhealthy relationship. So that's the second question we have to ask ourselves is, are you giving your partner multiple chances without the healthy expected improvements in the relationship so that you feel happy and healthy and safe? Which brings me to the third question to ask yourself to see if you're in a one-sided relationship, and that is, do you feel emotionally safe in your relationship? And there's so much to say about this because relationships require us to be vulnerable. Relationships require us to be open. But when we are open and vulnerable, we need to make sure that our partner is responding to us non-judgmentally. That when we are emotionally safe and open and vulnerable, our partner is being non-judgmental. And that's what we mean by emotionally safe relationship. So again, you first want to ask, are you and your partner having emotionally vulnerable conversations? I typically recommend my clients to do a weekly check-ins, and these are designated time and place where they come together, typically for 30 minutes, and have a weekly check-in. And it's not to just go through a laundry list of things that are not done. It definitely starts with checking in and starting from a place of admiration, starting from a place of giving each other compliments. And then having that safe environment to have an open conversation about something that may have hurt you, something that might be missing, something that you're longing for. So we really want to ask ourselves, are we having emotionally open, vulnerable, maybe a bit intimidating conversations? And when we do have those conversations, am I receiving the non-judgmental, compassionate, understanding, supportive responses from my partner? Because we can be emotionally open and vulnerable, and if our partner is responding by saying, well, that didn't happen, or they respond by saying, you're blowing it out of proportion, it wasn't that bad, now we're actually being criticized and invalidated for our share, for how something made us feel. And that is not an emotionally safe relationship. And if a relationship is not emotionally safe, then it is going to be out of balance, and it will become a one-sided relationship. And speaking of emotional safety, and speaking about the earlier question of, do you give more than you receive, you really want to, again, make sure that you are not always giving that emotional support to your partner and never receiving it. So these are some questions that we often want to talk about in therapy, whether you want to do individual therapy or couples therapy. We offer them here in our practice, Embracing It Therapy in Woodland Hills, and we do online therapy for anyone here in California. So please give us a call if you have any questions. Leave me a comment if you have any other questions or comments about this topic, and I will see you next time.